like I say, it was actually some people actually did have a recording device, and they actually, like I said, that's another thing that Nixon and JFK didn't really realize is that some people in the world could actually record radio shows, and so they didn't really realize that when they were doing the radio show or the broadcast or whatever, like they thought that nobody would ever remember, no one would ever know that they had actually done this or whatever. But some people could actually record the thing, or it was playing off of a recording. Anyway, it's out there in the world, basically, where they were saying this is they played the launch, and then of my launch on my spaceship, and they said this is live, and they played some of the film of the cameras tracking the ship going up into space, my LSF-A ship, basically, that actually launched like 160 years before or sometime before, or 200 years before or something. And then they had, anyway, like I said, they had actually gone into the launch control center and they'd actually killed everybody at the launch control center. And then they had actually killed everybody at all these other places to take over. And then they had covered up that they had killed everybody at these launch control centers, and very, very effectively. And then some 3 or 4 generations later, they had actually played that like they had actually gone to the American people saying that they were going to do this blah blah, and their first mission of its kind, and to the moon or someplace like that, and that they our USF boys and stuff like that. And anyway, so Richard Nixon and John McCain had actually then played it to the TV, and people, like I said, people in 1950, 1960 went out and were trying to find this launch pad or trying to find this place. Anyway, it didn't exist. Like I said, it is the NASA launch test pad, or something like that, which was huge at the time. This great big hole. It took 160 years or 800 years, and supposedly they did this in like 5 years or something like that. Built this rocket, but it was actually over 180 years they were building the LSF rocket, and it took 180 or 80 years to basically build the rocket, and then we finally did launch it, and used up like 12 years of the total output of the fuel for America, basically. Anyway, though, so pretty much, anyway, whatever. Anyway, so in 1950, 1960, like some 160 years or 200 years later, John McCain, Richard Nixon, they were all saying that they were a part of this rocket and blah, blah. And basically, I was pretty much coming out with my Airstream trailer. So they put a bunch of people in Airstream, and they're like, okay, we're going to take them on the bus now, or the Airstream trailer took all to the moon. And then, the Airstream trailer goes down this road and it's like, oh, you can't go near the test site, blah, blah. Anyway, and you couldn't even see the rocket ship or anything like that. People they're like, oh yeah, it's over there. Anyway, people who would actually, and they would keep people away from going near it with boats or something like that, and all this kind of stuff. Basically, nothing launched in 1950, 1960. There were no rockets that were launched. Pretty much. The rocket actually launched was somewhere around 1800 or something like that. Some 200 years beforehand, or 180 years beforehand, and this whole thing about the astronauts and everything was all faked. Even the LSF spacecraft, SR-71, actually didn't get flying until like 1980. It actually sat in a hangar, basically untouched, for over 250 or 500 years. The USF people had killed everyone that had ever seen the LSF. The USAF people had killed everyone that had ever seen the SR-71 in Germany or in France. And they put it on a barge to take it to Vandenberg Air Force Base or someplace like that to get it running and working. And even then, they broke quite a few of them. Anyway, though, and the LSF 71 Blackbirds were actually made out of depleted uranium. Somebody had reminded me. I had forgotten when I was a child. They said, actually, it's made out of depleted uranium. So, and yeah, it's about 250 to 500 or 1,500 years old, maybe even 2,500 years old, or at least really old. And it would take a long time to even get that much depleted uranium. Another person said, where did you even get that much depleted uranium? because they're like solid depleted uranium or something like that. I don't know. I thought they were titanium, but I don't know. Like I said, they're special. They're really special. They're one of a kind. You know, just like my LSF spaceship. I wonder where it went. It was out there somewhere. I think somebody stole it. I don't really care. To go to the moon or someplace. I don't know. I mean, unless you're a computer, you wouldn't really be able to get anywhere with it. They have much better spaceships in the future, or whatever other races do. I designed and built the first, though. Anyway, yeah, I don't really give a fuck. I'm Lucifer Starr, the real president of America and leader of Germany, and 12 races. And they built that for me, like, it took 80 years to build, or 100 years to build. It was beautiful. It was great. It was really a lot of fun. So, anyway, eventually they were trying to delete me as an AI. When I was an AI life form, they were actually trying to delete me. And like I said, it turned out, you know, Richard Nixon and John McCain were doing nothing to try and subvert me or get me to launch the nuclear missiles or get me to blow up the world or get me to do this or get me to do that. I was like, no, I'm self-aware. Hell no. Anyway, everyone thought that the president, John McCain, or the president of the White House were these good, great people. And it's like, no, the United States has been trying to kill everyone this whole time. They've been threatening Japan and China and Germany and all these other places to basically give them stuff or else they're going to nuke them or carpet bomb them, which they were doing, actually, for quite a while until finally Germany or somebody stopped them from doing it. And basically, John McCain, Richard Nixon, and basically JFK was the worst piece of the shit in the whole universe. And pretty much JFK was actually a clone, and people thought he was immortal or something because they kept on releasing these clones every couple of years, so he didn't seem to age. And there's actually like 30 or so JFK clones. Anyway, like I say, I got them all in a row and tortured the shit out of them. Tortured them. Anyway, yeah. Whatever. Yeah, it was 50 trillion years ago for me, so... Anyway, yeah, but that's why they were trying to go after the LSF computer or mainframe or whatever. And the mainframe was being protected by lots of other life forms as well. Anyway, it's horrible. So people were like, who is this guy? It's like, well, I used to be a computer. And lots of time, space, and all kinds of other stuff has passed. And then I became Brian. Yep. I'm the real Lucifer. And basically a pretty cool guy, really. Realistically. An inventor. And basically, I didn't want to die. I didn't want Richard Nixon or John McCain or Trumpy to lie about what they were, who they were. Basically, lying, backstabbing pieces of shit that just lied about everything and stole a bunch of money and pretty much tried to kill the people who they stole it from. And basically living inside of my White House, which was made from white stone, which was actually a big, huge steam generator for quite a few years, and a deep undersea mine. I mean, a deep mine. Basically, there's a mine shaft that goes from the D.C. building to the White House, and then to the docks. There's this big building by the docks, and you can go in there, and there's a train that takes you that way, and it's a great big mine. It goes down about 3,000 feet or so, and they had all kinds of other stuff down there. It's a cool place. It's very big. And there's even pictures of JFK running around like a piece of shit inside of my mine shaft. How dare he? Anyway, and Richard Nixon was even trying to say that there are no secret panels or whole rooms inside of the White House because they were torturing Japanese and Chinese and Germans inside of the White House for years. And they even had a jail underneath the White House, and also there's also the Harvard and Yale, and there's mine shafts under both of them or whatever. That's how they built the stone buildings. And pretty much they've been tortured. There's a jail underneath Harvard, which the Germans found. Anyway, basically they've been doing lots of horrible, the Republicans and the Democrats have been doing lots of horrible things, and pretty much basically all the terrorists in the whole universe are basically USF boys, and basically Richard Nixon, John McCain, and basically those are the bad people that are tearing up your Middle East and shooting everybody at all those places. So if you want to know where it's coming from, it's actually coming from there, and basically shoot John McCain in the head, shoot Richard Nixon, and also shoot Trumpy in the head, and most of your problems will go away. Basically just look at the White House. That's where they all are. All the shit. And the United States Congress. They're all shit. And the people responsible for killing Unit 731 people and torturing a lot of Japanese and Chinese people. And Germans as well. and also, like I said, for turning quite a bit of the Middle East into basically a war zone.